Hello, welcome to the Rangers Rabble. This is your Monday preview show. But is it the preview show? That's what Martin's called it. I think the preview show for Super Six tomorrow, isn't it? Oh, should have checked that before I started. But the preview show for the Dundee League Cup game. I'm sure we'll touch on a bit of yesterday as well. Please like, subscribe. I think we're up to 6,600 subscribers now, which is absolutely amazing. And the more the merrier. And of course, we are sponsored, not that one. We're sponsored by Zenith Coins. RR10 at the checkout will get you 10% off your order. There will be no phone in tonight, unfortunately, because I don't have the setup for it, and Martin never left the details when he went away on holiday. So unfortunately, no phone in, but we've got good guests, so we'll have a good chat anyway. We are joined by Wilf, Alex, and Care. Wilf, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Stu. I'm waiting for these good guests to come on. I've got a few people joining us.
Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff. And Kay, yourself?
I'm not bad, chat. Not bad.
I even had to put the specs back on just because I knew you guys would be on, and I didn't want to be the only one not having the specs. So the return of the specs.
At least you've all got something in common, eh?
Yeah, one night only. Return of the specs. And just before we start, we've actually got some sad news. One of the watchers of Rangers Rebel, a big fan of Rangers Rebel, one of his really good pals, Mark Fairbairn, has unfortunately lost his battle with MND. So all our thoughts at the Rebel and well wishes go to the family and all the friends there. It's a horrible disease, and hopefully in the future, something can be done about it. But all wishes go to Mark Fairbairn and Brian Miller, who sent that in for us. So really sorry for your loss. So just off of that, on to I think we can touch on yesterday first. I sort of covered the game after anyway on the reaction, so I had a little bit of my say. But Wilf, just sort of overall 3 points obviously was the must. We have to just get 3 points in the league no matter what. But what was your overall opinion on the actual game and the performance?
The game was dreadful. It was a terrible, terrible game of football. That seemed to be the overall opinion. I was fortunate enough to be at the game. And that seemed to be the opinion of everybody that I spoke to on the way out, that it was 3 points and up the road, and that's all we can ask for. The game was awful. Tillman's goal was decent. We scored direct off a corner. That's almost unheard of in recent times. Apart from that, it wasn't very good. But the team's obviously going to be low in confidence, and all we can do is domestically win every game between now and the break for the World Cup. And that's all we can ask. It doesn't matter how the game. Want to be entertained. I tweeted before the game, just win the game. Want to be entertained, obviously, because we're supporters. It's an entertainment business. But I would rather a scrappy 2-1 like yesterday than an entertaining 4-3 defeat. So I'll take it. It's not nice to watch, but I'll take it.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I completely agree with that. As I say, I've sort of been one that's, I have been a bit outspoken about Gio in recent times, but I've always said, if we win the league with playing like this all season and we just keep winning and we win the league, I'll be singing his name from the rooftops. But what did you make on the team that come out yesterday? Obviously, the defence, apart from people calling out for Yilmaz, I think it pretty much had to pick itself with the injuries we're currently going through. I don't know if you saw the sort of Tavernier thing in the warm-up. Looked a bit like he was wincing during his warm-up, and I think a few people have said he's looked a bit off it this season and maybe he is carrying an injury. There's a lot of rumours going around. Are you surprised to see Tav in and maybe not Devine getting a chance if that's the case, or do you just think it's a case that Tav has to play until he can get this sorted?
I'm only hearing half of that, Stuart. You keep breaking up. I don't know if it's my internet or yours, but
is that the same for everyone?
I think so.
Loud and clear with me, Stu.
Must be mine then.
Throw some carrots at the hamster care.
I think Tav looks like a player he isn't 100% fit because he's not playing like the Tav we know. I know he might have a drop in confidence, he might have lost a wee bit of form, but he was still all over the park, up and down the flank, getting crosses in. He's not doing that. He's putting less and less crosses in because obviously if he's put an injury, he doesn't want to make it worse. We're constantly putting cross balls in and damaging the problem. So I think if he's playing him constantly through injury, I think that's bad management. And that's my opinion. He should be playing, but also Tav's got to come out and say, listen, I can't keep playing because he could do himself more damage long term. And we don't want him being out for a long, long time. If we can get it fixed and out about for a couple of weeks, then up until the World Cup starts, the fixtures don't look that difficult. But this is Rangers we're talking about this season, so they may be difficult. But I think it's doing us more damage than it is because he's playing through injury. I could be wrong, he might not be injured, but he looks like he is. The team yesterday, I mean, I was in the Motherwell and watching it because we were in the main stand watching it, just sitting with Motherwell fans, and Motherwell are rotten. They're a really poor side, and even when they scored, they had no forwards on the bench, man, to bring anybody on to give it more oomph. But Rangers sat deeper and deeper for no reason because they didn't have to. Motherwell done the same thing constantly, and it was like we were bringing them on to us, and we didn't have to do that. And I thought the substitutions were poor. I know we scored the second when they brought the subs after they brought the subs on. Well, we brought the subs on and we scored, but I thought it was the wrong subs to go to. I just think, like Wolf said, they're a team that's playing low in confidence. Some of the players are scared to make a mistake. I think it was you put up earlier on, Stuart, the picture of the space that was in front of Borna, but he passes back. I think things like that, that's something that's low in confidence. He doesn't want to play a wrist pass, get a ball forward in case he makes a mistake and the crowd on his back or his teammates on his back, so that they're playing safe more than they should be. And sometimes playing safe gets you into trouble, as we can see. But I think we needed the 3 points which we got. It wasn't pretty to watch. And Tolman's goal took it really well, but he ran in a straight line. My Wilpers, I went near him. Because I watched it this morning, because obviously when I was there, I was like, that's a fantastic goal. But I watched it this morning. I heard you saying yesterday, Stuart, coming home, he was doing a slalom. He never moved. He just ran in a straight line. If I was
He slalom past the last. I think at first view it looked like he slalom, but yeah, you're right. I watched it back as well. He does sort of just run the
if
straight
that was
line.
scored against Rangers, I would be absolutely bailing because nobody put a foot in, attack one. So, but he took it well, and that's what you want to see for somebody. He ran, he was direct, and that's what we want to see for the players. We'd rather see that and somebody constantly going back away, but we get the 3 points at the end of the day, that's what we wanted.
Yeah, and I've seen a few people say this about Jude on the Southie, and then he broke. I don't actually know if that's true. I know that's all what we all think anyway. And again, I don't actually know the full optics around Tavernier. It might be that he isn't injured and he's just out of form. But for me, Alex, he's someone that, I mean, his passing has been off from day one this season, which is unlike him. Obviously, there's a few misplays, but it's just every pass, his touch has been poor. And I think early on, a lot of people started saying he looks like he's carrying an injury. He doesn't look fit. Sorry, but I was just going to say he doesn't look fit. But then Gio did say after that he was carrying an injury. Whether he's now fully fit from that injury or like a lot of people think, and it does seem to point to that he does look like maybe that's not the case and he is still actually carrying something.
I think he's still carrying something. I think bar maybe, the Livingston, I mean, even the Livingston game, it took him a while to get into, which was the first game of the season. Bar that game, though, he's not showed, what the Tavernier we've seen over the last couple of seasons. But you could see, I think the most obvious that hurts in a little video that Rangers released when they're doing the warm up before the Motherwell game. You look on his face and he says, the face says it all. And so he definitely seems like a man carrying an injury, and his performances have not helped that at all. So I mean, again, it comes if we play him into the ground now, and then it gets to the break of football, which is coming up for the Winter World Cup. He has this massive break, which for whatever, maybe Gio's thinking, okay, well there's his break or whatever, and then he comes back. He's overdone it, then doing nothing, and then go straight back to it. That's just gonna harm him more, and it's not gonna help. So if he is injured, then the person I fear for the most is Adam Devine, because he must seriously not be rated by Gio to not get anywhere near the team.
Alex, I think the problem. Sorry, Stu. Alex, I think the problem with that. With Adam, we're not playing Adam Devine's the same reason he's not brought Yilmaz in for Barisic, because we had Tavernier try to talk Leon King through games because he had the young centre half beside him. So we then get Ben Davies in beside Goldson rather, so they can, they both know what they're doing. So you could potentially then put Adam Devine in. Unfortunately, Goldson's out, so we've got King in, and he's not wanting to play two youngsters at the end of the defence with one senior player talking them through. You know what I mean? That's to me, that's why he's doing it. But the problem, Adam Devine, to me, isn't the problem, because I rate Adam Devine. But there should be a buffer between Devine and Tavernier. There should be somebody else. I mean, like we brought in Tillman we brought in Yilmaz rather to cover Barisic, rather than saying to Robbie Fraser, right, you're Barisic's cover.
Yeah.
But we've said to Adam Devine, well, you're Tav's cover, instead of bringing somebody in between them, if you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he is young and inexperienced. You can't throw two kids in at the same defence in games you have to win.
And the only other thing on Devine as well is, who has been superb when I've watched him this season, by the way. This is another chance for him to get a shout in this upcoming game against Dundee. So if he seems to, if Tav plays again, then and again,
Tav can't play on Wednesday. You can't get him anywhere near the team away. Adam Devine has to start on Wednesday. Yeah. The problem with that is, if Adam Devine gets injured, we don't have a right back to cover him, because Tavernier better not be anywhere near the squad on Wednesday, because as we've just said, he needs a complete week off. Yeah. He needs a complete rest.
No, and I was actually going to. There's that next point I was going to bring up for you, for Will. For the next point I was going to bring up, Will, for you. I don't expect Tavernier to be in the team against Dundee, but if we are looking at sticking this out to the World Cup, which is the rumours is when he's going to then try and get this situation sorted. It's then Livingston Saturday, Napoli Wednesday, Aberdeen the Saturday, Ajax the Tuesday, St Johnstone, then Hearts in the midweek, then St Mirren at the weekend, then Hibs in midweek. That's the break before the World Cup. So there's no rest. It's 2 games a week now from now until the World Cup. So this is surely too much risk. And I get that Adam Devine may not be ready in Gio's eyes, but you're risking your captain and arguably one of our most important players when he's up and firing. For the sake of sort of 6 games, and especially 2 of them that Ajax and Napoli that were out of the competition really anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't play Tav against Livingston on Saturday either. I wouldn't play him against Dundee, and I wouldn't play him against Livingston. I would certainly put him in against Napoli, because Napoli, looking at what Liverpool did to us, Napoli could get really, really silly. So I would expect Tav to play in that game, but I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't have him anywhere near the squad in the next 2 games, the game against Dundee or the game against Livingston. I mean, we're saying that Adam Devine, from what I've seen, is a terrific player. Adam Devine needs to go into right back. You could potentially put James Sands in there, because he seems to be able to play anywhere across the back and in midfield. Or go three at the back. Stick somebody wide on the right as a kind of marauding fullback. Who he would do that with, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Because it's not. You could probably do Scott Wright, because Scott Wright can basically do what he's told. He's one of these players. I don't particularly rate Scott Wright's decision making, but if the manager says, right, Scott, you're basically playing as a wing back, he'll do it, because he seems to be one of these players that does what he's told. So he could potentially look at doing that against Livingston. But I would put Adam Devine in on Wednesday, and unless he completely bombs, I'd be starting him against Livingston. And if he completely bombs on Wednesday, stick James Sands in at right back. It's Livingston. If we can't do without Tavernier against Livingston, then we've got big problems.
Yeah, no, it's a good point to go on to as well. Kerr is actually just rebooting, by the way. I think he's having some internet issues. And for Ross asking, it's Estrella, Ross. I've actually stopped buying Madri, mainly due because I think I was sort of suckered in by the PR machine, and it's not actually that nice of a beer, but I just sort of fell for everyone saying it was a nice beer. But who knows? But yeah, Alex, just on that point Wilson made there, I thought about the 3 at the back as well. If we could run that and just have a wing back that's almost a winger, but playing at wing back. Obviously, we're a bit short at centre back for that to happen. So if we take a knock there, then we're really, really struggling. But also, is the issue there that we've not really got the strength right wing either, or Gio doesn't seem to think we have the strength on the right wing?
No, I mean, you've summed it up perfectly as well. As if we do that and go to three at the back, who plays at the other centre back? Because then it's going to be what Sands, King, and Davis. One of them gets injured, and we have two centre backs until the World Cup, which isn't looking great. So,
Barisic.
well, and that doesn't fill me with confidence either. So, because he can only go so far backwards, Barisic. So all we'll see then is pass the Barisic back to the keeper. Um, yeah, for me, three at the back would work if we had more centre back options. And again, we've just not got. I mean, the best time to play with wing backs is when Tavernier's fit. I think that's his best play. Is be able to bomb up the forward and have that little bit of support behind. We've seen it a lot of times in Europe, and that was when Lundstrom was dropping into centre half. It's going to be a tough call no matter what you play. Like Wolf says, you can't go too inexperienced, and I think Ross put a comment in saying he being Gio is one bad result away from the sack, so he can't play too much of a second string team. It is going to be some tough calls, but again, with Wolf saying what he said about if we can't deal without Tavernier against Livingston, we can't deal without Tavernier against Dundee, then there's more problems than just the squad and Gio. And obviously there is low confidence, but we did just beat Motherwell. There should be something to build on there. We scored a couple goals. We scored from a header from a corner, which doesn't happen at Rangers Football Club unless it's against us. So we need to build on that somehow. Try and get a bit of momentum, get a bit of confidence, and with Dundee and Livingston at home, this is the perfect week to do that. So it is probably a decent opportunity to get some youngsters in, and on Wednesday, some youngsters involved. Even if it's off the bench.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring this up super quickly. I'm not ignoring this, Hugo. I am going to come back to this because we're going to fully cover the Dundee game, but I just wanted to bring that up to remind me to come back to it. But just the last few bits on yesterday's game. Wilf, I trust, as much as I've sort of called out Gio, I do trust that he picks the team that he thinks is the best team. But are you a bit surprised that for all the issues we've had on the right wing, I saw a status today saying that no player has started more than 2 games in a row on the right wing this season under Gio. So it's clearly a problem area. Sakala has an assist and a goal in his last domestic game that he starts. He plays against Liverpool, does fine, doesn't do any worse than anyone else on the pitch. And then he's just dropped out of the squad. Were you a bit surprised by that, or did you think it just made sense and Gio was just trying something different for a different game?
No, I was surprised he didn't start. I was even more surprised he didn't come on. I mean, what you've just said. I mean, he's got a goal and an assist. He didn't do any worse than anybody else. He loves a goal against Motherwell. You know what I mean? He got a hat-trick against them last season, if I'm remembering that right. You know what I mean? And it is a problem position. Give the guy a run out. I mean, when Matondo wasn't exactly great out there. You know what I mean? He was. I mean, it was noticeable towards the end as well that he swapped Matondo and Kent over. You know what I mean? Which So unless that was something he had in mind anyway, but I actually feel a bit sorry for Sakala because I didn't realise nobody had started on the right more than 2 games in a row. That is quite worrying for me, really. But I mean, I would expect Sakala to start on Wednesday. But yeah, I was amazed he didn't come on at some point yesterday.
Yeah, what about you there, Alex? Because it's quite a fascinating point, I think, with Sakala, because it's one of those players that Gio clearly didn't fancy when he come in. He was never anywhere to be seen. But then we've seen this sort of weird rotation that Gio does, where Scott Wright had dropped out for a few weeks, and then he comes off the bench against Liverpool, and then he's back in yesterday. Is it just Gio overthinking it, or he still doesn't fancy Sakala, and unless he is scoring and getting assists, he's like, you're not playing in my team.
I think you could add Gio into this call and you'd get the same answers as one of us would give you. I don't think he knows. I genuinely don't think he knows who to play there, and he has an issue with his wingers because on both sides at the moment, Kent seems to be down in his tools, and on the other side, we just getting a lackluster performance. I was very surprised not to see Sakala. I thought he was probably one of our better performers against St Mirren last weekend, and he's not exactly been. There's not exactly been a lot of chances for him to be poor this season. So I thought, going off the back of a really embarrassing midweek, this is the perfect chance to try and build a bit of morale, build a bit of momentum, and and just keep Sakala on form, because we've got a lot of games coming up, a lot of games where freshness is going to be needed. And yeah, I have to say I felt bad for Sakala, because I didn't think he'd done a lot wrong to be taken out of the starting 11 or the squad altogether. And Matondo he doesn't seem to be clicking at right wing. I think he's had some all right performances on the left, nothing special, but I don't understand why we don't go with clearly Kent, who looks disinterested. Try Matondo out on the left from the get-go, and give Sakala some time out on the right, because he has been probably our most inspired winger there this season. Scott Wright towards the end of last season was obviously picking up a few games under Gio, but it was hard with the lack of numbers. Obviously Matondo wasn't here, Sakala was not preferred, or if was playing, was on the left. It was a kind of game that, especially Motherwell away, like Wilf says, he scored a hat-trick against them last season at Fir Park. I think his first goal he scored for Rangers was at home against Motherwell.
Yeah,
right. The guy's got a few goals, a decent record there, a decent record against that team. Just for that alone, plus the fact that he's not really been that, he's not been bad. He should have been involved off the bench at the very least.
Yeah, no, and I did just want to bring out a couple of comments I saw. Chris on Facebook, thanks for watching on Facebook, by the way. I know it's Dundee preview, but is there any truth in Souness coming back to our box in some capacity? I heard rumours because he's leaving Sky Sports, things all talk. I haven't heard anything personally. It's not something I'd expect the club to go for, unless it was a very short interim role. But yeah, not heard anything myself. And Sharpie said Gio was a good manager at Feyenoord, won them their first top years, and he did. And he also won a cup, I believe, there. But the Feyenoord fans, a few of them anyway, from I think it was from one of the podcasts or something, when he got the Rangers job, a few of them were in the comments warning us, saying that that fell off. He sort of come in, won the title, a bit like I think with Gerrard, he come in and he took over a squad already in a style of play, won the title, and they fell off a cliff shortly after, I think. It's always tough. I don't think Gio's a bad manager. I just personally don't think he's going to be the right manager long term for Rangers. But you can't deny he did go and win a title for Feyenoord, so who knows? But yeah, last sort of bit on the game, Wilf, because it's just one more player I wanted to touch on, mainly because we're going to touch on a lot of these players when we actually discuss the Dundee game. Scott Arfield, did he start just because had a good first half against Liverpool? Because just from seeing what people are saying on Twitter and social media in general, and also just from my own eyes of watching him in the last few domestic games, he's been miles off it from the start.
I think he started yesterday because there was nobody else, and simply for no other reason, and there was nobody else to play in that position. He can't play 3 games a week. He's 34 years old. He can't. His body, it just seems to me, his body won't let him play 3 games in a week. He was absolutely out on his feet very, very early yesterday. I mean, he'll still try. He's a consummate professional. He's a Rangers man. He will try. He won't just chuck in the towel. But he had nothing in the tank. He's absolutely shattered. He cannot play 3 games in a week, and because there was nobody else with the injury to Jack. There was nobody else to play in a forward midfield role that they play him in, and it's going back to the recruitment that we keep going back to on almost every podcast, that the recruitment in the summer wasn't good enough because we're short in those areas. I was flabbergasted that Charlie McCann didn't start that game yesterday. I'd have played Charlie McCann before Scott Arfield because he's young, he's got energy. Yeah, okay, we've just said you can't play too many kids, but that would be a kid at the back and a kid in midfield. That's not too many kids. It's too many kids if you've got 2 of them playing beside each other in the same position. I mean, had Alex Lowry been fit, there's no way Scott Arfield plays yesterday because Alex Lowry plays. Put in Charlie McCann. Charlie McCann's proved he can do it. It's Motherwell we're playing. Put the kid in. Leave Arfield on the bench.
Yeah, and I can see Kerr is sort of lingering in the background. Looks like he's on his phone. So I will add him back in. Okay, how are we? All good? Is the internet working?
My laptop's fucked. I don't know if you can hear me. Basically, it's not let me back in. It's saying I can't connect to a secure connection. I'm not very technically minded, so I've not got a clue what to do. So I had to just come in on my phone, so hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
Can you turn your phone sideways, Kev?
I can, well,
To flip the screen. That didn't work. It's all right. Put it back. Have you got your screen locked?
I have.
Unlock your screen and turn the phone sideways
2 seconds.
if you can, because that way we should see all of you and not two black lines at the side. And I'm not technically minded either. There we go. Look at that. Look at that now.
IT support.
Look at that now.
Pretty face, is he?
I misread that comment. I thought it said, "Kerr, you look weird without your helmet, not your headset."
Just trying to catch up on a couple of comments after that. Let's see what we got. Negative Nellies, eh? We always are. We expect the best. That's the problem. McCann would walk into the Motherwell team. Yep, absolutely. I did bring this up. I wanted to. Yeah, I think Wilf covered that. I think it's absolutely right. We don't really have any other options apart from McCann, which doesn't seem to be the man to come in. Okay, you have small ears apparently as well. So
I've had that all my life. Well, if they're big enough to hold my glasses, that will do me.
And Wilf the technical wizard. So yeah, just moving on to we're just about to move on to the Dundee game in Kerr. I guess we'll just go through position by position there and sort of pick a team, and then we can sort of discuss players in and around doing that. So in goal, I've seen a few people saying this is going to be an area that we've got to look at because obviously we're having big issues in goal as well. Do you think it's going to be John McLaughlin coming in as the cup keeper again, Kerr, or is he going to actually give Rory McCrory a go, especially on the back of a new contract?
I'm hoping to see Robbie McCrory, but to be honest with you, I think we'll go with John McLaughlin. I don't know why, but I just think we'll give the game time to John. But I was hoping to see young Robbie in because I think why would you give him a contract and no play him? He's the type of game they should be playing. So we like to see him in goals. Listen, we've all said for day dot the issue's been a keeper. It's not been addressed. So in each keeper we've got McLaughlin and McGregor will make mistakes. So young McCrory deserves his chance. I'm not saying he's the answer, but he deserves a chance because the other two have had a chance, never really took it. So he deserves a chance.
Yeah. No, is that the same for you, Will? Do you think it should be McCrory tomorrow? I mean, personally, I think it'll be John McLaughlin, but I don't see why we don't just at this rate go for McCrory, especially in this game.
I don't understand why we would give McCrory a new contract and not play him tomorrow, because they're obviously looking at McCrory as being the long-term successor to McGregor because they've given him the contract. Either that or they're looking at make sure he's under contract when they get rid of him. Either way, he needs to play games of football. He has to. I mean, he's sitting doing absolutely nothing, so he has to play. For me, they seem to have made their mind up that McLaughlin is a number two and no more than a number two. So give McCrory a shot. I mean, let's be honest. How much should he have to do against Dundee? You know, give him the experience of playing in front of a packed Ibrox again. No, because if not, the guy's going to get totally disillusioned if he doesn't get some game time.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just seen someone's brought up a good point that someone's just put their team in the chat, and as we get to the strikers, someone I do want to touch on as well. It's a good Ian Moore. Thanks for reminding me of that, Alex. So I think we touched on right back. We're hopeful that it's going to be Adam Devine. Are you hoping to maybe not even see James Tavernier on the bench?
Well, I mean, if he is on the bench, then it's not somebody that you're there to bring on. It's because he shouldn't be. He really shouldn't be. Joe has to have a lot of trust in Devine, and why not give Jack Harkness a chance on the bench? One of the boys who in the under-19 games, especially against Napoli, in Europe, he's looked decent. I would give Jack Harkness a shout and give chance for the captain to have a rest, especially if he is either carrying a knock or coming back from one, which it looks like. He needs this break so that we can actually get a decent return out of him. Yeah,
and just seen someone bring up Johnny. Is it Yafeko? You say that? I was about to say
John Leafeco.
Leafeco. Yeah, so I was about to say this is the lad we got from Leicester. I believe, did he sign an extension to his deal in April? I think it was something like that, didn't he? But someone's saying he's returned from injury. To be honest, I haven't heard much about him. I actually heard he wasn't as impressive. He wasn't as impressive as hoped the academy had hoped he would be. But I don't know too much about it. I don't know if you can shed any light on him, Wilf.
I believe he's played possibly a game and a half since he came back from injury, and he was well short before he went out. So I wouldn't have him anywhere near it. Not at the moment.
That's fine. Centre backs. I mean, I imagine it's going to be a 4. Again, like the Tavernier question, are you hoping that you're really not going to see Ben Davies anywhere near that team and give him a rest?
It has to be on King and James Ryan, doesn't it? You can't really go with anything else. The only thing I'll say is, you don't know if Gio's in a place where he feels if anything happens against Dundee, I mean, every game now is a pressure game to Gio, so if he for some reason they manage to win, he says they're going to be him on the chopping block, so will he risk putting in 2 in a young person, or will he go with his experienced guys and his favourite guys? And you don't want to do that, but will he do that if he feels you're under pressure?
Yeah. I mean, if we talk about, I personally would think we could do it with 11 changes with using the youth system, and I don't see why we couldn't do that. I don't think we will do that. But are you expecting maybe Sands and King in the centre back? Just to, King's going to need as many games as he can at this point because he's going to be cover, and Sands is now our backup. So would you expect to see those two partnering each other there?
No, I expect to see Ben Davies in beside Leon King.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a partnership that they need to get up and running. And if Davies' little knock that he's supposedly carrying isn't any more than that, then if he's happy enough to play and it's not anything that's going to, kind of flare up or whatever, they need to try and get that partnership going. And I think he'll play. And also, like you said, he can't make too many changes because it's a game we'll have to win. Yes, it's only Dundee, but worse teams than Dundee have embarrassed us in the League Cup games when we've made some changes. So we have to win. First and foremost, we have to win the game of football. If he goes out with the strongest team he possibly can, I'll be absolutely raging. But if it gets us through, fine. I would rather he did that than make half a dozen changes and we go out. So I expect to see Ben Davies beside Leon King at centre half on Wednesday night. Fair
enough, Alex. I think one position I'm hoping and expecting Gio to sort of crumble a bit to the fan pressure. Got to be Yilmaz at left back, right? This is the boys' chance now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he played in the last League Cup game at home to Queen of the South, and I didn't see anything wrong with him. I think Bourne has obviously been one of our, over the course of the season, better players, but in recent weeks has needed dropped. He seems to just be going backwards. He's just no confidence on the ball whatsoever, and is causing us more problems than needed. The best thing he did on Sunday, on the weekend, on Sunday, sorry, was supposedly squaring up to the home fans, and that's all he did apart from stick a ball up to the car park where he was supposedly going to meet them. The guy he didn't do anything. He was really not. He wasn't superb at all, and it's another guy who maybe he just needs a rest. He's played through some tough results and some poor performances, and maybe being one of our better players. And that's not to say he's been good. It just shows how poor we've been. So it's a great chance to give Ridvan an opportunity, and hopefully he can show going forward why that's his starting position. And if he can take it off Borna, fine, because we've got this, and then we have Livingston at home. We have a tough run in where I expected lots of changes in October with 9 games, and Borna can't play them all.
No, and I've got Sharpie shouting at me here. What does the panel think of Souness? We did just cover Souness a little bit, but you're right, I didn't actually ask anyone else. Kelly, I mean, this is the first I've actually heard of any rumour that Souness might return in any sort of capacity. What would your thoughts be on Graham Souness returning even in a sort of advisory capacity?
Depends what he's going to be doing. Obviously, Graham Souness man, it kick-started everything, didn't he? I remember him coming the first time, and it was phenomenal when he came in because it was like, whoa, we're going to take off here, and we did with the players we bring in, for England, like Harry Butcher and Chris Woods, players we never thought in the wildest dreams we could manage to sign. I mean, when he came in the Rangers manager, we were probably the biggest wages payers in British football at that point, so it'd be good to see him come back in some capacity. I don't know what capacity it would be in. You don't want to be giving him a job for the sake of giving him a job, but you want to come back and make an influence, maybe have a say, and if it's to replace somebody, maybe, but just another face, I don't know. Depends what he's going to come back as.
Yeah. So that was Kare's view on it anyway, Sharpie. I'm not sure personally. As I say, I loved Souness the first time, but obviously I was a bit young. But just watching everything back, and obviously my dad and everything else, I've had some of our greatest times. But he's been out of the game a long time. You know, he's been pundit the last 16 years. So maybe
He's not
about
the nicest guy, is he? That's a nice guy.
No, that's it. That's probably where the rumours have come from. And I think it could be good if he's coming in and just doing the team talks for Gio. But apart from that, I'm not sure it would work out. So just back to the team then, Care. I'm just looking at how we lined up in the last sort of League Cup game. And I've completely forgot we did. We actually played Ryan Jack centre back in the last League Cup game, which obviously wouldn't happen this time because unfortunately he seems to have picked up a knock. But just moving into our sort of midfield three. Last time we went with Davis, Arfield, and Kamara. I don't expect Kamara to make it, and Scott Arfield. I would be shocked if he starts another game with the amount of football he's played recently. But Davis, I think Davis is a fair shout. I think he probably will start. What about you?
Yeah, I think Stephen will probably start the game. I think Charlie should be starting beside him, Charlie McCann. The other one, I'm not sure. I think Lundstram needs a rest, and Scott Arfield needs a rest. So, and Glenn's obviously, I think he's still injured, Glenn, isn't he? So, I don't really know who else he goes in with. Maybe play a James Sands, not a centre back, play James Sands in there, but you don't really want to play with two sitting midfielders against Dundee. You only want to play with one. Do you know what I mean? So, if Alec Lowry's fit, you maybe find him in there.
Yeah. What do you think of that then, Will? Because I'm expecting Tillman is going to get another game out after his performance, so a little run of games for him. So Tillman and Lowry, or do you think he will do the two sitters and maybe Davis, McCann, and Tillman?
Lowry won't start because he's not had any football at all since he came in. If he's fit, I'd put him on the bench, but I don't. I don't even think he's fit enough for that, to be honest. I don't know how far through his rehab he is. I was surprised, as I said, McCann didn't start yesterday, so he better be starting on Wednesday, because what message does it send out to the lad if you can't get a start in a game like that? You know, I'd be starting McCann. Stephen Davis, probably. And who you put in beside him? You're right, Stu. Tillman's going to start, but where's he going to play him? I mean, is he going to play? Is he just going to play two in the centre with Davis and McCann, stick Tillman in front of them, and then go? Well, we'll cover who goes up front, and then put two wide and a striker down the middle, or is he going to put Tillman out wide? We don't know what he's going to do. I would say midfield three will probably be Davis, McCann, and Tillman, but again, as we keep saying, I'm not the manager, so. You know, it's more likely, knowing him, it's more likely to be Arfield, Lundstram, and Sands. But
yeah, probably. Alex, just staying with this midfield three. I mean, I see a lot of people saying, we can't play two sit midfielders, and I've always been saying, can't play two sit midfielders, especially in a game like this. But thinking in a game like this, even with two sit midfielders, you would still expect the team to comfortably put away Dundee. So, with the limitations we have in terms of fit players. When you're looking at central midfielders, James Sands, Stephen Davis, Lundstram, Charlie McCann, there's not too many sort of attack-minded players to go with.
Yes, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because we seem to have a ridiculous amount of midfielders on the books, but we've not got many options. Obviously, we've got a few injuries, but I wonder if James Sands, I think he'll be in there in some capacity. So if he's not at centre half, maybe he will be played in midfield. Charlie McCann, I also expect to start, and like you said, Tillman should start. Hopefully in the midfield, and he plays him through the middle. You never know with Gio, but yeah, if Kamara is still out injured, as rumours say, then it is going to have to be either Sands or Davis, and McCann. Yeah, McCann has to play. I think it has to. Then it will be either Davis or Sands, and whichever one doesn't play will most likely play at the weekend. So it's going to be a hard call. I just think, again, obviously there'll be a few academy boys on the bench, or hopefully so. Not that he's going to, weaken everything. He is still going to try and have a bench that, if needed, which shouldn't be the case, can come on and change the game. But, he needs to have a bit of trust in the young boys who can do that. And the likes of Charlie McCann, who should be in that midfield alongside either Davis or Sands, and then Tillman should be just in front.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just wanted to bring this one up really quickly. I don't know if Wilf will care to know this. This was always my understanding from last season. Rangers B team players can only play 5 games for the first team before being ineligible for the B team. Maybe that's why McCann used sparingly. However, I don't know if the rules have been officially verified and signed off. The Lowland League's been a very weird league this season in terms of the rules and
I
the lateness
I don't think that rule's still in place, because at the start of the season they came up with some cobbled nonsense about you had to have 6 or 7 starting players that are eligible to play for Scotland, and there was no mention of the 5 games and you can't play for the first team. But Charlie McCann is now part of the first team squad. He trains with the first team on a full-time basis, as far as I'm allowed to believe. The same as Alex Lowry, the same as Leon King. So he's a first team player. It's a first team game. Give the guy some football. Let him play the game. Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to. I actually think. Sorry, Stu. I actually think Charlie McCann's on the verge of being too old for the B team.
He's 20.
I think he's 20, and that's the edge of it. So you know what I mean. But I don't think the 5 game rule's a thing. But
I know it definitely was last season. As say, I think the rules have been really hard to sort of find anywhere. I follow one of the Lowland League pages on Twitter, and they were kicking off about early that no one had even mentioned this rule coming back into play this season. And I don't even know if there is an older rule. Is there? Can you play so many older players? I have no idea.
When that rule was in place, you could play one player of 21 and a player over 33.
Right.
But there's no word that that's even a thing this season. And because our Lowland League team's been, generally speaking, 18 and 19-year-olds, we've never invoked the older age thing anyway. So I don't know.
Well, there's your answer anyway. That was just wanted to bring it up. It's quite fascinating on that one.
Scottish football and transparency and all that.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Hi guys, Darlington FC joint top. Come on, Darling. Just wanted to bring that up because I went to when Darlington were in League 2. Pushing hard to go up to League 1. I went to, I think was it the Reynolds Stadium at the time? They had some mad chairman who built them a 25,000-seater stadium because they were going to be like a Premiership club, and it just all went down the pan because they couldn't really afford it. But glad to see they're doing well again. So where were we? I don't remember who I asked last. I think I asked Alex, did I? Care. On to the sort of wide players in. Are we expecting Ryan Kent to be dropped on this one?
Ryan Kent, I could be dropped out. Right player should be probably Scott Wright and Sakala, maybe Matondo. Two of the 3. It shouldn't really be anyone else. I mean, these guys need football, need minutes. And Fashion, I've not been his biggest fan since he's been at Rangers because he's been hit and miss for me, but he needs a games because he's actually done okay in the league for us. So against Dundee, that should be good enough. He should be able to go out there, play against Dundee, maybe score a couple. So I think Fashion has to start. Matondo needs more games to see what he's actually like. But Scott Wright's, he can be missing for weeks, then suddenly thrown back in against Liverpool or thrown back in against Motherwell. It's like, where's he been? Do you know what I mean? It must be it's confusing for us as fans, so it must be even worse for the players because one minute they're in favour, and next minute they're dropped. Obviously, they might get a word for the manager, but then they're dropped and they just suddenly come back into favour again. So I think 2 of the 3 should be starting. They'll be halfway through the middle.
Well, we ain't got to that yet. Come on, ruin the surprise. £3 super chat from the Tryon Scotsman. Thank you so much. Really appreciate any sort of donation, any super chat that comes in. If you want to pop a question in, usually we say we'll always bring them up from any sort of super chat. So if you've got any questions for the guys, let me know. There was one question that did come in for the guys from Curry. If we thought Bill could be brought back to Rangers tomorrow, would you jump at the chance? Saying to lads, it's hard to talk about a future manager when you still got one in place, and I get that. Personally, I think we probably should have, and I don't know if we tried. We probably should have made the move for him when Gerrard went, just for some continuity. I thought that would have made sense to basically give Bill the job. What about you, Wilf? Would you take Bill tomorrow?
If he was allowed to be a manager, then yes. If I bring him in as a coach, then yes. But if I bring him in the position of manager, which is what I believe Gio's actual job title is, but somebody else is signing the players, so he's basically got 1.5 hands tied behind his back. No, because it wouldn't do his career any good, because it just wouldn't work. The manager's got to be able to have his own players, and we still don't know. And all the speculation is that the manager really hasn't got a lot of say in the players that are in, the players that are coming in. So it doesn't matter who you bring. You could bring in Guardiola under those circumstances, and he's going to struggle because he's not working with the players that he wants. He's getting guys fousted on him, which isn't good, if that's indeed what's happening. But if he's getting a run of the place and to do his own thing, then I'd bring Michael Beale in a minute. But I don't think he would come up, because I don't think we can afford them. And at the moment, we still have a manager, so I don't want to talk a man out of a job.
Oh yeah, that's why I do find it tough. As someone that's, I've said, I've been saying all pod, I've been quite outspoken about Gio, but it is tough to speculate about future managers when someone has still and you
and let's be honest, right? If we weren't getting smashed all over the Champions League, would there be so much doom and gloom when the Rangers support being 2 points behind Celtic, having already been to Parkhead?
There certainly wouldn't be as much doom and gloom. I think the performances are still concerning, but absolutely, I'll take your point. Cammy's brought it up. This was a one-off, by the way. They asked you hashtag for questions, but if you want to get in, I'll ask them the guys anyway. Right, where were we? Wings. Wilf. So I mean, if Kent's going to be dropped, we're looking at one of three, I guess. Well, two or three, sorry. Sakala, Wright, and Matondo. Who would be your, unless he's going to throw a curveball and he's going to finally play Morelos with Cholak, but out to the right hand side?
I prefer to use this. I prefer to call it rested rather than dropped, because it's Dundee in the League Cup. He's not going to drop him. He's going to rest him. Let's be kind to Ryan Kent. He should have been dropped on Saturday, but he will be rested on Wednesday. I think he'll play Scott Wright because he likes Scott Wright. I really do. But I think he'll play Scott Wright on the right hand side, and on the left, it's got to be Sakala. He's got to play Sakala because he needs game time. And Matondo had a go at it on Saturday. Wasn't great. So I would be playing Scott Wright on one side, Sakala on the other, and we'll get to the striker in a minute.
And they're all coming in now. Ask Gru. Hey, look at that. What a fun. How many screens do you have going at one time? Just two screens at one time. But I look all over the place because some of these guys bore me, to be honest. But no, I'm only joking. It's I just look around, I guess. Karen, which favourite colour run for? I just buy the cheap ones, to be honest. I think I've got some Under Armour ones at the moment. They're all black, so there you go. Oh my god. Why did you leave Alex out of the rectangular spec memo? Alex just likes that Nicholas calls him Harry Potter, so he just continues to wear the circle specs just because of that. Is there more doors in the world? I think it's just going slightly off topic now, guys. I'm going to go tyres. Wheels. If it's calling them wheels, I'll go wheels. But maybe not tyres. I don't know. Who knows? So back to the team then, Alex. Just going on to the wings then. What are you thinking out of Sakala, Matondo, and Scott Wright?
It's definitely wheels, by the way. I would go for. I mean, Sakala has to play.
The question was tyres, not wheels.
I know. If it's tyres, it's obviously it's doors. But if it's wheels, then it's wheels. No, for me.
I'm losing the will to live here.
For me, Sakala has to play. Sakala has to play, whether that be on the left or the right. And if he plays on the left, then it'll be Scott Wright. Or for me, it should be Scott Wright. If he plays on the right, then it should be Ravi Matondo. As Wilf says, Kent needs rested against Dundee. And so, yeah, it's an opportunity for change. And I mean, we'll never know who's going to play at right wing. And if he takes Kent out, then it's got to be either Matondo or Sakala on the left. But I would go with, Matondo on the left for me and Sakala on the right.
Yeah, and we come to the number 9 position, or maybe the number 20 position if it's going to be Morelos. Personally, I think I'm probably expecting Morelos up there. What about yourself?
I think he has to give him minutes, doesn't he? Obviously, I think Clark will be on the bench, but he has to give Alfie minutes. I think he'll be itching for minutes, he'll be itching to score some goals, and he just needs some game time. And I know Wolf's mentioned it a few times, it's only Dundee. Don't underestimate him too much because you never know what will happen. I remember the Hamilton game years ago, Wolf, you were probably there as well. He drains from.
When Chris Woods conceded his first goal for over 1,000 minutes.
He did, yes. So
imagine getting your world record ended by Adrian fucking Sprott.
I know.
You know what I mean?
So I don't want to think me. So how he has to go with Morelos, doesn't he? He can't really go anywhere else. If he's on the bench again, then I think Alfie might be away in January. But so I think I'll go with Alfie tomorrow night. Wednesday night.
Yeah, is that the same for you, Wilf, or is he gonna? We saw Robbie Eure obviously start the last cup game. Could he throw another little curveball in, maybe, or even go Sakala up top? Maybe he's going to go Matondo, Wright and Sakala, or is it just like Kerr said, got to get minutes into Alfie?
Got to get minutes into Alfie. It's got to be Alfie. I would expect Robbie Eure to be on the bench, and hopefully the game's safe with enough time left to give him a decent run out. But yeah, he's got to start with Morelos, because as we said, you can't make too many changes because it is only Dundee, but it's a cup game that we need to win, and yeah, you need somebody that can score you goals, because Dundee will be big and physical. I haven't seen them this season, but they will be big and physical at the back. Because they're just a typical Scottish team. They're two centre backs that are about 18 foot tall. You know what I mean? And the guys they bring on for them will be about 18 foot tall. So yeah, you need somebody that can mess about with them. I think Robbie Eure might still be a wee bit. He's a big lad, but he might still be a wee bit too inexperienced to deal with that. So you bring him on if we can get a couple of goals up, bring him on. But yeah, Morelos to start them, I think. Just
looking at Dundee's team, is a couple of players you'd recognise, Zach Rudden and Ben Williamson, of course, from Rangers. Yeah. Alex, just wanted to bring this one up. Is there any chance that Kemar Roof is on the bench or gets any minutes?
He has to. He absolutely has to. I don't know whether it's, he has to get some sort of minutes against Dundee, or else, in my opinion, when are we going to see him again between now and the Winter World Cup? This is the perfect time, if he's fit, which he should be, and should have been a long time ago. But if he's fit, then he has to play. He absolutely has to play at some capacity, because he's a player on the books, a striker who can score goals when fit, and if we're only going to get a couple of games out of him, bring him off the bench and try and get him fit, try and get him involved in the team, give us an extra option up top. Morelos isn't fit and firing this season. Cholak obviously is, and absolutely is, but he needs some competition. And Morelos at the moment doesn't seem to be giving him that. And I rate Kemar. I think he's had a lot of problems whilst at Rangers, but I think he definitely should be getting some minutes. And this is the kind of chance for him to build that fitness up and hopefully be involved more between now and the Winter World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully hopefully he's not still loading anyway, and he can make an appearance. Just wanted to bring up this.
Stu, Ben Williams is on loan from us, so he won't feature.
He's still on loan, is he?
I've just
checked. A couple of these players a couple of these players are just 21.
I thought he signed for them permanently, but apparently, according to Wikipedia, he's still on loan. So Wiki's never wrong. So
no, that's it. But look at this, £4.49 from Ian. Thank you so much. What are your Lots Games bucket list? If I'll probably butcher just saying that. What are you Lots Games bucket list? What are your bucket list games if given the chance to go to, I'll take it this is obviously ones you haven't already been to. Ian's would be the Old Firm at Ibrox, Man U Liverpool at Old Trafford, El Clasico at Madrid, and the Milan Derby. Let's start with Care. What's your bucket list games, Care?
I've been to United, Liverpool, Old Trafford many a time, and obviously the Old Firm games every season. One I would like to go to, there's two. I like to go to see Boca Juniors play, but I'd also like to go and see a Rome derby. Well, Lazio.
Wilf, what's your ones, if you have any?
Yeah, I'd love to go to a Rome derby. I'd also like to go and see Boca River play. I think that would be sensational. And something that it's not really on a bucket list, something I'd like to do, and I don't think I'll ever do it because I don't think I can handle it. I'd actually, believe it or not, I'd like to go to a Scottish Cup final as a neutral fan. That's something I've always wanted to do.
I've done that as well. Right, just with my dad, so
just to go without any skin in the fight, and just to see what it's actually like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Similarly, I like to do that at Edinburgh derby as well. There's a chance I might be able to do that, but just to see
neutral.
Yeah, well,
would she allow you to be a neutral?
Have you not done that before?
No, I've not done that before. No, I've been to see Hearts play various teams with her, but I've not been to a Hibs game with her. No, I'd like to just because I'd be in the Hearts because I'd be with my missus, but I wouldn't care who wins the game.
Yeah.
Particularly, what I mean, not supporting anybody. I quite enjoy going to football when I'm not supporting anybody.
Yeah, so they are.
Just to see what it's like. I mean, I was at Cove Rangers Inverness Cali on Saturday, and you thought our game was poor on Sunday. You should have tried a bit of that. That was horrific. But it's just nice to go and not really bother because you can have an overview of what's going on without any emotion, which I think is quite good. Which is why Ian's question is quite good because obviously if he goes to an Old Firm, which we're lucky enough to go to quite regularly, he's going to have some skin in that fight. You'd like to think he's watching the Rangers podcast. He's going to be wanting the Rangers to win. Man U Liverpool, he may well have a side in that. But even if you've got feelings for Madrid or Barcelona, you're going to go to the El Clasico and just soak it all in. Same with Milan derby. So it is things you want. I mean, I'd be lucky to go to some of these grounds, but go to the derbies would be fantastic. I think any derby anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's a proper derby, none of this M25 derby or you know what I mean, or the sort of nonsense that you get in England. Or proper. I mean, even to me, Man U Liverpool's not a derby because it's Liverpool, Everton, and Man U, Man City. But again, they're nothing like what we've got.
I've been to Liverpool Everton derby. I've been to that game just as a neutral watching. Yeah. I don't like any two of them, but it was a good atmosphere.
Well, so have I, but it was Jamie Carragher's testimonial, so it doesn't really count because it wasn't the first teams. It doesn't really count. But yeah, that sort of thing. North London derby, that would be good. I'll tell you, Ajax Feyenoord would be interesting. That would be an interesting one.
Yeah, someone's mentioned that in the chat as well. That one.
That would be an interesting one to go.
There's a few good ones in the chat. Alex, if we just let you do yours. Steady versus the Shire. The Belgrade derby. Look at that one. Red Star.
Sorry, before you go to Alex, can I tell you a wee story about Belgrade? Right. The two grounds in Belgrade, Red Star and Partizan, they're about 800 metres apart. Right. There's a street between them. Right. And outside Red Star's ground, there's an old tank from the wartime there. Right, sits at the back of like the home end at Red Star's ground, and the main gun of the tank is pointing in the direction of Partizan Stadium.
Look at that, eh? Look at that knowledge.
Which I only know that because I was there with us last season. And somebody told me.
I was giving you all this praise there. Can you just shut it down as well? Dundee derby, also separated by a street, or on the same street, really. Boca River Plate. I think that's to be a big one. What about you, Alex? You got any ones that are different? Any maybe Football Manager inspired ones?
Yeah, I think I surely get a fair bit of abuse for picking a Football Manager one, but I'll go for it. I'd like to see Hereford against Kidderminster Harriers. just the most random game ever, but I would love to see it because me and my mate had both chosen those. So we decided, I'd like to go and see Hereford beat Kidderminster Harriers. I'd like to go to the Camp Nou or Camp Now I'd love to go to. It doesn't even have to be a Milan derby. I would just love to go to that city, to that stadium. At the San Siro before it gets knocked down. I think the Der Klassiker, the Dortmund Bayern one would be superb. But I'd much rather go to a Dortmund Schalke game. And one that nobody seems to have mentioned would be the derby that took place on Friday. An unfortunate result for our link over in Germany in Hamburg, but them against St. Pauli. And yeah, River Plate, Boca would be a superb game, and the Rome derby one sticks out for me as well.
Yeah, just backing up the Boca River Plate, of course. I've always wanted to sort of experience what Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, if you could survive it, what Galatasaray and Fenerbahce would be like. And one local to me, I mean, I go to plenty of Havant and Waterlooville, who are down the road from me. I go to plenty of their games, but I've never seen them play Eastleigh, which is sort of like Havant and Waterlooville are Portsmouth, and Eastleigh is Southampton. So you get that sort of like link between them. So it'd be good to see one of them. And loads of people getting these ones. It's such a good question. There's Barca, Real Madrid, Fenerbahce.
Well, again, a team that I'd like to see. I would like to go to their stadium and witness, much as a neutral would be. I would like to see Legia Warsaw. I mean, from an outer perspective view, their fans look to have a superb atmosphere anyway.
Yeah, and this is the best one so far. First year versus second year at school back in the day. Not a bad one. It's a strange ramble question. We're just doing something a little bit different, Paul. Sometimes we'll mix it out. We'll let some questions come in. Don't do it all the time, but it's a bit difficult because the game's 2 days away, so it's hard to do the preview. I know tomorrow. I think we're doing the Super 6 show tomorrow, so it's sometimes a bit hard to preview, but we'll try and get it back on topic for you, Paul. One more though. What about Atletico versus Real? Again, that would be an amazing one. Couple of crackers in Spain. So we're all sort of agreeing on Morelos. Just to wrap things up, then starting with yourself, Alex. Can you give me a score prediction and a first goal scorer?
Yep, I'll go for 4-1 and Malik Tillman.
Malik Tillman again, and everyone else who want to chat some score predictions in for Wednesday, and I'll bring a couple up for you. Kerr, what about yourself?
3-0 Morelos.
3-0 Morelos, you say?
Yeah.
Look at all this confidence oozing out of us. You're going to carry on this train, Wilf?
Of course I am. I've also just had a text from a mate of mine who's watching. Hello, Sasha. Sasha, the dog's watching. And we missed out a very important derby that nobody's mentioned, and it would be something else. Linfield against Glentoran.
Oh, of course. Hey, how can we miss that one? 6-0 Alfie for
0-5. I hope that 0-5 means 5-0. If Dundee's hitting 5 in Van Broncos, that's getting this jotters. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that 4-0, but a different first goal scorer. 4-0 and Fashion Sakala.
There we go. Look at this. This is a great one. What about Mallorca versus Ibiza? Of course, Ibiza are up in the second league in Spain now. That would home and away. I'd like to do a 2-legged tie for those ones. 5-0 Sakala, 3-1 Yilmaz, 3-0 Harfield. Cholak to get all 6 goals and a 6-0 win. 4-0 Rangers. And I think I missed one. I'm really sorry if I missed one there. But I think we can wrap it up there anyway. It's been a good chat.
Before we go, Stu, right, just thinking about derbies, Kerr, I know you're a man that watches a lot of random football. Auchinleck and Cumnock, have you ever had the pleasure?
I've been Auchinleck before, we're not against Cumnock, but I've been down that neck of woods before. Quite a hardy bunch, I have to say, but it's quite good.
I believe that's quite a tasty derby.
Is that not a game at Mr. Broadfoot got arrested at one point? I get timed at one point years ago.
I don't know much about the juniors down in
Junior football is nuts. Well, my brother-in-law played junior football, and I used to go and see when he played with Carmesine Rangers, and their fans were the same.
I used to always watch the Junior Cup final, and I don't know if Stu and Alec, I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of watching the Junior Cup final. It used to be on the TV, and you can always guarantee there's a red card and a fight somewhere along the line every single year. It was just ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous.
I was going to say, the only thing I know about Auchinleck was, don't they have their only stand is just some big stone thing that just this stone monstrosity. I saw it up on a documentary not too long ago, and it's.
I think it used to be, Stuart. I don't know what it's like now. I'm not doing that neck of for Ayo, but I think some of the junior teams have got a bit of money, so they invest in their clubs really well, and some of them get good support as well. Some of them get bigger crowds in League Two clubs in Scotland, so they've got a bit of money. But junior football is good. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it is a good level to watch, and the players give everything, and the fans get really invested in it. It is good to go and see if you ever know any games on, but there's a junior game close by.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on that point, it's been a great chat. Thanks, Wilf, Alex, and Kerr. And once again, I don't know if many saw it. At the start of the show, we just wanted to pass the condolences from everyone at the Rabble to Mark Fairbairn, who unfortunately lost his battle with MND. One of his friends sent that in to us, big watcher of the Rabble. So all our condolences go out to him. And if anyone can give anything, if any time you see a sort of MND charity, please give to it, because it's a horrible disease, and really, really horrible thing, and any help they can get to sort of find any sort of cure for that would be amazing. But on that, thanks to Kerr, Alex, and Wilf again. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been a really fun one. Like, subscribe, RR10 at the checkout as always. Back tomorrow for the members show, and of course back Wednesday for the build up and the reaction to the Dundee game. Until then, thanks very much.